Hello everybody, this is Havoc and welcome back to Humankind on the channel. I know it's been ages since the last video and for that I do apologize, but I have in no way forgotten about the game. A new job in the games industry, the start of school for the kids, and a very busy but prosperous time with my other full-time job have unfortunately meant a decline in Humankind content, so I hope that you'll forgive me. Currently sitting with a mixed rating on Steam at 68.5%, Humankind players peak at about 7% of their initial release numbers, indicating that the community isn't very satisfied with where HK is at the moment and are waiting for future updates. The forums are filled with lots of discussions over balance, problems, and interactions over how the game can be improved. While that may seem daunting and a bit disappointing, if there's one company that I do trust to improve on a game and be very active in their community, it is indeed Amplitude Studios. They've created a vast community of involved players through the open devs with Humankind, one that Amplitude is very active with as well, so I know they are constantly getting their hands dirty with the community involvement and bringing that into their development. Today I want to dive into the October update blog that released last week to give you some insights into what's already been addressed, the ongoing work that's taking place right now, and maybe what might be going on in the future. Before we get into this, as always, if you enjoy any part of this video, be sure to give it a like, sub to the channel, and turn on bell notifications. Now let's dive deeper into the October update blog for Humankind. To start off with, Amplitude addresses the response post-launch, where oftentimes, as we see in the gaming world, you have a very enthusiastic community of players that are crazy excited about the game, and then if that game doesn't add up to their hopes and hypes, their responses are equally as enthusiastic and oftentimes critical. While I have seen a decent bit of non-constructive criticism, I will say that this community stands above a lot of the other games and that there is a great deal of constructive criticism, where concerns are not just voiced, but conversations on how to improve on those concerns are hashed out and developed into actually useful feedback. And that's what Amplitude mentions in this blog. There was a ton of feedback sent to the team via the Steam forums and Steam reviews, not to mention in the Games Together forums. Feedback is absolutely vital to address current issues within a game, and also to get a foundation on what the community wants to see in the future regarding additional content. This is one of Amplitude's best company features in my opinion. They are fantastic at seeing through the muck of feedback, taking the gems throughout and using that to improve their games. Was Humankind perfect at launch? Clearly the answer is a no from the community. But was it a bad game at launch? I don't really think so at all. Development from the first open dev to release was a massive shift in so many areas of the game that when you look back at previous open dev videos on this channel, you repeatedly see that Amplitude consistently listens to their community and uses that feedback to provide meaningful advances up to launch. So with that in mind, let's now look at the initial patches and what they've done to make the game better so far. If you were around for the launch of Humankind, you will undoubtedly know what the first few major issues were with the game: resources and pollution. While I never personally experienced a runaway problem with pollution, I've seen plenty of feedback and plenty of videos talking about it, so I know it was indeed a big problem. I think even bigger is the fact that I could rarely enjoy a game of Humankind to its fullest due to a lack of resources throughout all eras, especially so in the industrial and modern eras. I played a handful of games where I straight up did not have access to any oil because there were only maybe 2 deposits on the huge map, both owned by an enemy that was vastly larger than myself right up to the end of the game. Oil is slightly important for at least a third of the entire game, so yeah, that was frustrating. The initial patches were designed to increase the number of resources on the campaign map by default, and to not only increase the limit of pollution, but add in a few more ways to tackle the production of it, which was a fantastic start. Equally pleasing, and something I've called for starting several open devs ago, was a restructuring of the surrender negotiations on the diplomacy screen. Even with pre-launch updates, it was terribly complicated and difficult to understand what was going on with all those terms. The latest update involved a bit of a redesign for those surrender terms, and it's significantly better than it was before. I enjoy it much more now, and it gives me a lot of hope that Amplitude can sufficiently address other areas of the game regarding the UI and the UX features of Humankind. The last larger areas of critique and improvement fall into the AI's ability to handle armies and battles, better validation tools for the map editor, of which I desperately need to dive into, and the overall stability and performance of the game by tackling a lot of the bugs that players have reported since launch. Regarding what's been done already, that's a lot of things to tackle in the less than 2 months post-launch, and to be quite frank, there aren't that many studios out there that are able to tackle so many things so quickly, which again, makes Amplitude stand out in my book even more. As great as these initial patches are for the game, there's still a decent amount of work to go, and we get to see some of the team's top priorities in the ongoing work part of the blog, if in a creepy, we're watching you from the shadows type of vibe. I think it's great to see that the team is watching certain topics with great interest, even if they can't directly speak to them or even confirm these things are being worked on. Some of those areas regard culture balances and their overall effects on the game, battle balances like line of sight and unit stats, even so far into quality of life changes to personas. I, for one, regarding personas, wish that we could create several of them, specifically so content creators like myself can have their platform campaigns, streams or let's plays, while also creating their own personal unique ones to share with their communities. But the top of Amplitude's list is much bigger issues such as the Mac release version, which is still delayed, multiplayer stability, and even as they've tackled a lot of the stuck turn issues, several players still face scenarios in which the end turn still gets stuck. What surprised me the most from this is the reason for the Mac delay, which they cite a lack of information and hardware to get a sufficiently complete and stable build ready for release. Did Sega not give them the supplies and information they needed to get this accomplished? I do understand that a majority of the development process needed to go towards the PC release, as that's probably the vast majority of their player base. And since I have absolutely zero idea what it takes to port things from a PC over to a Mac, can't speak on why I think development has been delayed in that area. But it has been delayed further than anticipated, so hopefully we'll hear from them soon for you Mac fans out there. As for the other issues of stability and the things like stuck in turns, there is a more definite answer even if it's unsatisfactory, and that reason is that these are hard issues to recreate due to the massively different specs and scenarios that PC players are experiencing. For multiplayer, it's internet service providers across countries, it's internet plans across countries, local connections, wireless connections, not to mention all of those factors across the globe trying to play at the same time on the same game. Desyncs seem to be the biggest problem among them from what I've seen, so I hope that they can get a more permanent fix here soon for that area. For these stuck interns, again, recreating those issues even with a saved game file is a hard thing to accomplish. There's computer specs, good or bad. There's hardware and software update versions that can have compatibility issues. Heck, even simple things like a different hard drive types, be it your old school disk drives, your solid state drives, or your M.2s. There are so many factors to consider, and when you have thousands of people every single day across thousands of different computers, any bug is hard to track down. Again, it might be frustrating and not a satisfying answer at all, but that's basically what Amplitude is telling us. These issues described are proving to be more difficult than anticipated, and it's taking longer to diagnose and tackle than they anticipated. Now that we've addressed in summary what has happened thus far, Amplitude gave us a short snippet on what to look forward to in the future. There are several areas in which the game can currently be expanded upon, most notably in my book, religion, diplomacy, and the interactions between cultures outside of diplomacy. And Amplitude agrees that these and other areas are definitely aspects of the game that they want expanded upon too, which is great to hear. Now the kicker is in that order to do so, it requires significant time, resources, and development power to implement, not to mention figuring out exactly how to expand those areas in the first place. So naturally, the team cannot discuss details on what they're working on or how they want to accomplish it just yet. Understandable. Just know that your forum discussions on features and future pieces to make the game better are being seen by the team and will be taken into account, even if you don't see anyone from the Amplitude team commenting on them. That does, however, bring us to the October update, which arrives on the 28th. The focus here will improve options and settings when creating a new game, including things like the abundance of resources and in-game conditions to the rapid increase in game pace in later eras, along with some apparent balances between cultures, things of that nature. Hopefully, I can get in contact with the developers closer to this release to nab an exact patch notes list so you know exactly what's coming in this update, but it does sound like they are taking things a step further to address community concerns, as they always have. And even in broad stroke details, this sounds like a much needed and great patch, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Thank you so much for checking out the video today. Again, I apologize for seemingly abandoning Humankind. It was never my intention to make it seem that way, and I never anticipate leaving this game in the future. It's still incredibly fun to play, and I very much appreciate Amplitude's dedication to improving it. If you enjoyed the video, you can of course support this channel by giving it a thumbs up, clicking on the subscribe button, and as always, turning on notifications. Be on the lookout for future videos, even if they're sporadic. This is Havoc, and I will see you in the next video.